Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys can please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Well, Mason, first off, happy Hallows Eve.
It is Halloween. Why are we not dressed up?
Yeah.
Why didn't we dress up today?
Because we're bad at our jobs.
Well, we're bad at our jobs, and by the time this releases, it'll be like November 2nd.
And we knew that.
People are going to be like, what the fuck? Why are these guys in costumes?
They should be in pilgrim outfits.
Are they cosplaying?
Yeah.
Weirdos.
Yeah, but we should have, to be fair. We should have. We definitely should have, for sure.
I think pilgrim outfits would have been a really good idea
well, that's for more for Thanksgiving.
Well, I know, but then you're playing into both holidays in one.
Well, then we do it November 2nd. We got to do it for the full month.
Yes.
We got to do
absolutely. Pilgrim every single week.
Belt buckles on the hat.
But we just add one new item of costume every time. So, the first week will just be the outfit. The next week will be the pilgrim hat. All the way leading up to
Then it's the blankets with scarlet fever.
that decimated, 80% of the population.
Yes. We can get fun with it.
Horrible
A lot
things.
of fun we can do with that.
It is Spooktober. Still, technically.
It is, yes. We are recording this October 31st, the spookiest day of the year, some say.
Well, some would say.
The veil is lifted. There's a lot of ghosts and ghouls out there. A lot of spooky shit going on, Mason.
A lot of
spooky shit. And what better day to review a spooky movie?
I couldn't agree more.
And this is a good one. This is one I was very, very excited to review and talk about on the podcast. It is the new horror film Barbarian, directed by Zach Cregger. If you don't know who Zach Cregger is, he was on another comedian turned horror director like Jordan Peele. He was on one of the best sketch comedy shows, The Whitest Kids You Know.
You know what? I never watched it. Not gonna lie.
It's so good. It's
never watched
so
The Whitest Kids
You would
know.
love it.
I've heard a lot about it.
It's like absurdist. It's super good. There's some and some crazy stuff too. It was on IFC. Had a lot of stuff they probably wouldn't be able to get away with these days, but
really?
Some good stuff. But yeah, Barbarian. It stars I just have her name, Georgina Campbell and Bill Skarsgård. Kind of stars Bill Skarsgård.
Kind of does, yeah. They kind of threw a curveball there. But someone I really enjoyed seeing on screen again, it had been a while since I had saw him, and that was Justin Long.
Love Justin Long. He's like these Daniel Radcliffes and whatnot, where now he just does horror films, and I fucking love it. He went from like being the teen and everything.
Yeah.
Always a teenager until he was like 28.
Yeah. Well, some would say 38. I mean, goodness.
I might have seen him playing a high schooler last year.
I think he capped out at 38.
He did, which he held on longer than most do. But yeah, he's just amazing. He's a super funny, super nice guy, and he's always great. You always know, unfortunately, he is going to get murdered when you see him in a horror film.
100%. He plays that character because he plays into the fear so well that eventually
he shows fear. So I really do think he's scared all the time in real life as well.
Oh, he
looks frightened.
Sure. He lives his whole life in fear.
One of my first horror films I ever saw, I was very young, was Jeepers Creepers with him in it.
Great
and
film.
That scared the hell out of me.
Jeepers Creepers 2, just as good.
Not bad. I remember that too. I saw pretty young. Also horrifying.
The one that always sticks with me is the bus scene. You know
That's Jeepers Creepers 2.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah.
Number 2 is much more action oriented, where the creepers got like ninja stars and stuff at some point. It is pretty cool. You're absolutely right. But great films, and this is a great film as well. I want to say I loved this film, Mason. One of my favorite films of the year.
Whoa.
It was such a surprise to me. One, I recommend this going into any film, but go into this film knowing nothing. Nothing at all, which is what I went into it knowing.
No, I didn't know anything about this. Definitely threw you a giant curveball that I was like, okay,
Huge.
Did not expect that at all.
Huge.
And we can get into that later before we start getting into spoilers and whatnot. But I will say, though, you and I are a little bit different here. I enjoyed this, but I don't know if this will hit my top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
I love the writing. I love the story. I love the simplicity of it. But it had a lot to it. A lot of meat on those bones you could really delve into. I felt a lot of it. A lot of it had a great background story to it. But yeah, it plays out like a slow burn at the start. But once it starts, it does not fucking stop. It just keeps going. And I love that because you really, if you go into it not knowing anything, you have no idea where this film is going to take you at the start. You have no fucking clue. You're getting all these red flags from Skarsgård, of course, which he's played perfectly in this because everyone knows him now as the monster Pennywise.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to bring up. And they did this brilliantly in this film because the entire time I'm watching this, Cash, I'm thinking, okay, Skarsgård's going to be this guy. And I kept waiting for that moment where he turned and he was like right behind her and
so
slams
many
the
red
door.
flags.
Yeah. Like slams the door in that room with the camera and then he starts torturing her, right? That's kind of where I saw this going. And I was like, okay, another generic horror film. But it never happened. And then we get the big reveal.
Yes.
That like, he had nothing to do with this, and unfortunately, met his demise halfway through the film.
He was just the nicest guy in the world.
He was just really nice.
But man, they set this film up perfectly to almost to where you're screaming at the main character. And I gotta say, Georgina Campbell, I thought was fucking excellent.
Yes,
in this.
very natural too.
Yeah, a great final girl too. You were just rooting for her and felt bad for her too for most of it. But very smart, very quick witted. At any point did I, except for the very start, was I going, why are you doing this? Not throughout the film. I loved her decision making and everything, like you said, felt very organic and real what she would have done.
Yeah.
But man, the start, you were screaming at the screen, being like, one, the whole premise is crazy. Is that she in this crazy neighborhood. So she starts out, she goes to this Airbnb, and they double booked it, which I don't even think was intentional by anyone.
No.
I think because it's never played off like they're doing this on purpose.
No. It was just literally two different websites at once that caused all this mayhem.
Which for sure, I thought it was going to be fucking Skarsgård set that whole thing up. He planned. He knew she was going to be here, so he broke in early.
And the way they did that early on too, when she was like, "Oh, can I see your email?" and he was like, "Why? So you think I'm some creep or something?" Did you notice she left? And I was thinking, "Oh, he just grabbed her phone, wrote down the information, and typed out an email real quick."
But then, she gets his ID as well. She checks his wallet. So all these things of like, if he was a murder mastermind, in hindsight, you'd be like, "There's no way he would do all this shit." But I was thinking fake ID, fake email.
Fake stories about being a lion tamer or whatever for the foundation.
Yeah, but that thing is he was talking about things that you could easily look up and find out, which, you could have. But yeah, man, I love that start. There's a lot of red flags, but doesn't go the direction you think it's going to go. First, you're thinking maybe it's a ghost movie. The doors start slamming in the house and whatnot. Very, very.
Come to find out, though, if you've been in enough houses, there are doors that just do that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, certain places, they'll just shut on their own. Always. Yeah. So, like, this room, actually, to the studio, you can keep it open up until, like, halfway through. But if you leave it at any point, it'll shut on its own.
Yes.
Not a ghost, just whatever, the way the house was built.
But things doors don't do is open on their own.
This is true. This is true. But maybe Mama was checking in on
some
her babies.
kind of fucking Winchester house or something where you do have the poltergeist. That's happening. But her door at one point does open. And immediately you're thinking, oh my God, just go up there and start stabbing Bill Skarsgård, right? And not only that, he's having the craziest nightmare ever.
Well, that made me think, I'm like, okay, did this guy serve in the military? Is he having PTSD? Like, where is this story going, Or is the house haunted? Has it been, like, implementing its, demonic presence on him? Like,
exactly.
There were questions.
Yeah, but amazing, man. I just love the way that it was able to keep me guessing when a lot of films cannot do that, especially horror films. From start to finish, you feel like you know exactly who's going to die, who's going to live, what's going to happen. From the bad ones. From the good ones, man, they keep you guessing. And this really kept me guessing. I probably an hour into it, I still was like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on here? Because they don't know. She eventually stays with him at the house. And it's totally normal. They have a good night and everything. And then she ends up going down to the basement for God knows why.
Well, she went down there because, she had to get some toilet paper because she was on the John, realized there was no toilet paper.
Taking a big old dump.
She was taking a fat, and I heard a little, I don't know if you guys picked that up watching
It's
the
one
film,
where you got to double wipe.
but I heard it.
It's the one where you got to cut it off halfway, wipe, and then reflush.
It's terrible. That's why you get a bidet, sponsored by My Tushy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
that would have been a perfect ad read, right?
Shit would have been.
It would have been, damn.
She does go into the basement though for toilet papers, right? The door locks behind her, which to me, a locking basement door
Never a good sign. Ever.
One that automatically locks. No fucking clue. But this, what I loved about this house is it was endless. Mm-hmm. That just scares the hell out of me. A house that is bigger than you think from the outside for some reason just scares me. It's a house full of secrets.
Well, the tunnel system was terrifying.
Extensive.
Very extensive. I got to know what this guy was up to for this many decades, just building this home, just keep digging and digging.
Not
digging.
Right. Not right in the head.
No.
I mean, there's something wrong with
there's so much effort. Where'd you put all that dirt?
That's what I'm saying is something was like this guy had a goal, I believe. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously his goal was to keep as many captives as possible, you know. But to me, that's what I love about the story is they give you just enough to want to know more and more. I want to know, was this guy preparing for something? Was he totally psycho thinking the end times? And I got to stock up on wives. You know, that's a classic thing.
It is classic. Classic cult mentality.
Doomsday preppers love. That's the one thing they don't talk about. The wife situation.
Oh, they talk about it. Because they want mass breeding.
I haven't seen the show in a while. I have not seen the show in a while.
What show?
Doomsday preppers.
Oh, I thought you meant the cultists from the Mormon ADLS.
No, well, yeah.
That documentary just dropped, so.
Well, that always just changes. There's always some reason why you need a ton of wives in the Mormon church. It's always something.
Well, that more breeding, repopulate the earth.
But no, I'm in the show Doomsday Preppers when it's showing people stock up for food. It never shows them kidnap women for their.
No, it doesn't. But it is implied.
Which that'd be more real. It is implied for sure. We see the cages.
When you go down, there's the cages. Why are there bars?
The producers never ask enough questions.
They
never ask enough questions. But every Doomsday Prepper will lead to a kidnapping. I guarantee.
It is an inevitable
a Krause
outcome.
guarantee, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, goes down there. Giant tunnel system, of course. She's locked in the basement. Again, it's slow burn up until like the 40-minute mark because she's locked in. Luckily, Skarsgård comes back because he disappears at the start of the day.
He does. Which, another red flag. Someone leaves you a note. It's like, I got to run to the post office. I'll be gone for 5 hours.
Yeah,
like,
it's a long time to be at the post office.
What are you doing out there?
Too long. Yeah. But just a normal dude had a lot of packages, I guess.
He did.
A lot of stuff to do. Which is so weird. You get an Airbnb, then go to the pub. Have you ever gone on vacation and gone to a post office outside of your town?
Never. That might have been the one flaw in the writing there. Yeah, that's very true.
Well, I like what I read about. I did a little, just 2-minute search, but Zach Cregger said he got the idea. It started out with a writing exercise where he was reading an article where the article was telling women to go against their red flags, you know, to be like out there and be like boisterous. And eventually he said he wrote something where it was something about a gal who was just denying every red flag she saw. Mm-hmm. And everything was popping up and she would just keep, and he said he just started out with a half an hour and then he eventually wrote that into a 2-hour length, and it became this.
Interesting.
They said that's where it started out, was just a woman just denying all these red flags, which is exactly what she does, unfortunately. Yeah. But to be fair, it would have all worked out.
I want to know where that article is found. I would love to read it because that just doesn't sound like great advice for women. Just disregard.
Well, that's why he was like, this article's crazy. It might even be a book. I can look up the book. I bet. But anyways, he's like, but yeah, she does. And to be fair, though, it would have all worked out had there not been a secret monster living under a series of tunnels in your house.
Monsters, basically.
But yeah, man, keeps you guessing. There's a lot of good scares, too. She eventually goes and finds an extensive tunnel system. Mm-hmm. Well, first she finds one room, and the room is fucking terrifying.
It's out of like Hostile or Saw.
For sure.
Like straight up.
Only one thing happens in this room.
Right. And that's torture.
And torture. Yes. And rape, probably.
Rape. Yeah.
There's an
I'm assuming when there's a bed.
There's an old VHS tape.
You gotta love it. They're still using VCRs and VHS.
Of course. I feel like if you're ever going to make a snuff film, that's the only way is to go analog.
You have to.
You can't go digital. No. You gotta go. It's the creepiest fucking way. But yeah, finds that room. Mm-hmm. And of course, she's fucking, her red flags are going off. But, you know, talk about, you know, she's kind of in denial, but fucking Skarsgård is fucking.
He takes it a step further?
I found this auxiliary room. I'm going deeper.
Oh,
he says nothing.
Secret door.
Hey, stairs. I'm going in.
I'm going in. No.
Just sees stairs and runs down them.
Crazy.
Gotta get cardio in. God, he says he gotta get my steps in today.
Well, that was the last steps he ever took.
Well, you go down there and it's more red flags.
Yeah.
But it's tunnels and tunnels. It's just horrifying to think about. And you have no reference of what's going on or why these things are happening, It's still, to me, I was thinking, man, is this going to be something super paranormal where it's like, did they just find a portal to hell or something? Like, are these tunnels going to lead me? And they kind of did in a sense.
Yeah.
In a sense, for sure. But yeah, love the scares. There ends up being a big, scary monster down there.
It was a naked woman.
Big.
Very generations of incest as well.
And that was such a good story, too, where it's like the inbreeding just made her into a super creature.
Yeah, super creature. Pretty dumb.
Dumb
can't
as
even talk.
well.
But
inbreeding, you will get muscle. You won't get brains.
oh, dude, she got a lot of muscle, man. Let me tell you, ripped a man's arm right off his body.
Oh, and beat him with it.
That's the worst way to go.
That was so fucking cool. That's some Chewbacca shit.
That is. That really is.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. And that guy did absolutely nothing to deserve that.
No. He's like, this bitch hasn't come in here in 15 years. Boom. Wall breaks down.
Not only that, he was the guy running around telling everyone to leave something I did love that was such a good, not even a scare, but she went to the house at the very start very dark. Mm-hmm. And it shows from her perspective, and all it looks like is housing with the lights off.
Yes.
Which I thought immediately, another red flag. No one's got their light on. I'm like, what's going on?
Or everyone's dead in this neighborhood already, and this is the only guy living in the neighborhood.
But you can't tell. And then the next day she goes outside, and it's just
an abandoned
the worst part
project.
of Detroit.
Yeah.
It's just, the worst. And it's like there's no other houses standing still.
Yeah.
Except for this guy.
His Airbnb house.
Yeah. Who was the last one to leave the neighborhood. Because we get these great fucking flashbacks, too, that are just amazing. We find out that this guy owned this house. He was the last one to leave because obviously he had a little more invested.
You could say miles of tunnels worth of investment.
No one else in this neighborhood's got 81 miles of tunnels.
Yeah, hey,
I'm staying.
I'm not going anywhere, Jack.
But I love that. I just love that story of like where he's like, yeah, the neighborhood's going to hell. Well, people are disappearing a lot more. Yeah. like you gotta, but it just gives more and more to it's like, it was the perfect hunting ground because everyone knows once, any time before the 2000s, once white people started leaving any neighborhoods, the police started coming around,
Well, yeah, not only that, but I mean, also the fact that people are leaving the neighborhood. There are a lot of people already disappearing, so.
Yeah, exactly.
No red
Someone
flags.
else goes, yeah. So it shows this guy who's been probably murdering. I mean, he's the best serial killer probably, but no one's looking. No one gives a shit. But and it's the 80s that we go flashback. But he bought this house, and he, I guess, made these tunnels, these very extensive tunnels, and he's been kidnapping people for
40 years now.
Well, we have to assume he probably started before the 80s.
Yeah.
Because when we get him in the 80s, he's pretty good at it. Because we get that, how easy it is for him to go into a home by pretending to be, I don't even know what, the refrigerator guy? Like
I have no idea. Or like the water person. I don't know. We're checking levels. I don't know. Just let me in your house. Whatever. Come in, Sam. It's the 1970s.
There's no such thing as killers in the 70s. Yeah. I love it, man. I just love the writing was so good because it showed how he kind of did it without him having to explain how he does it. Mm-hmm. It show, not tell. He went into the house, went up to the bathroom immediately, touched everything. This guy thinking DNA is so far off. They're never going to get you.
What's DNA? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Literally would not have known what it was.
No.
So this guy has got fucking fingerprints on everything. But goes up to the second story window because I'm thinking he's going to kill her right here, right? Mm-hmm. Smart man, middle of the day. Goes upstairs, unlocks the window so he can come back later through the... It's perfect. It's perfect.
Very smart man.
Yeah. So...
Wish you could use those talents for other things. Rather than kidnap and murder, but...
Oh, yeah, it could have been some kind of engineer. Those tunnels were very well built.
Very intricate, yeah.
Yeah. The fact he never ran into a sewer system or anything, or any piping at all.
Incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this guy, and pretty much the reason this house has been kept up was that this is the only guy that stayed around for a long time. And eventually, I don't know what happened. I'm guessing he would have probably just disappeared, closed up the tunnels. and kind of just faded. And eventually, so the bank bought it or whatever. Yeah. Didn't know, little old man hanging out still. With who knows how many wives he had down there at one point.
I don't know. And it was also implied by the homeless guy. He goes, that's not the worst thing down there. It's like, okay, what else is in those tunnel systems?
Well, he was talking about the guy, though.
Right.
Yeah, not the gal. Right. Which, the guy was bad at one point.
He was pretty bad.
But let me tell you, today, she's the worst thing down there.
Yes.
Like, that guy, he's not chasing me. He's 90.
I want to know what happened to all the bodies and stuff, too. We never know. What was the disposal process?
Again, the scares are so good in this. We got to get a lot of good jump scares with Skarsgård coming out of the shadows at the start and being like, don't say anything. Something's down here.
Well, the way he was crawling, too, made it seem like he was, like, possessed or something at first.
Oh, yeah.
And it scares you, and then it's like, whoa.
And still thinking he's the bad guy because he's like, we can't go back up. We got to go deeper into the tunnel. Like, she's here. And then she screams and taken immediately. But though that's a great scare, but
but his murder was pretty hardcore too.
Yes, but the good subtle scares of the tapes of the names of the women and stuff that he had. One was like Crier, one was like Puker, and then the other one they would have names.
And
actually,
it was like red hair at the diner.
Yes,
like stuff like that.
Fucking
like just
horrifying.
Very like generic titles.
Sometimes they would have names, but sometimes you could tell he didn't even get to the name.
No,
he just went fucking murder frenzy.
Yeah,
which is very scary. But then it turns like to a whole nother movie where we get Justin Long playing like kind of a pseudo character of himself, an actor.
I wanted to root for him. I wanted to root for him. And then at first, like the way he was playing it at first, it seemed like the allegations were total BS. But as you start to learn more about the character and how he is, I'm like,
me too. I'm like, man,
this guy actually probably did that.
And then,
and then he does what he does at the end.
He's pretty much an actor who fucking actually raped someone.
You're right. That's what I'm saying.
Where it's like, I mean, at first you're like thinking maybe it was just something that built into that, where it's like, but no, this guy legitimately.
And that's how he was playing it off in the car. Like he was like just completely shocked, like this could ever happen. And I'm thinking, is this like a complete false allegation? What's going on with this character? But then you'll learn more about the guy, and you're like, oh, he definitely did.
That's the writing I love too, where it's like but even when you find out he's a piece of shit, his character starts to rebuild. And then he turns into just the biggest piece of shit, which I love, dude. There's no, you think there's character development there?
No.
Opposite.
No redeeming qualities.
He gets worse and worse when he throws her off. What? I fucking laughed out loud. Dude. I'm like, this guy is
a menace.
Meanwhile, Georgina Campbell's character, Tess Marshall, the best fuck. She comes back like 5 times for this asshole.
I know. It's incredible.
And the gun.
And he shot her as well. It's like,
yeah,
he's like, I had no other choice.
It's so funny.
What? You could have pushed the lady off.
And then even after he throws her off, he comes down. I'm so glad you're alive. I just I didn't know what to do.
There was nothing else I could do.
And then gets one of the most deserved deaths of any horror film. I was rooting in my seat. I was like, thank God.
You just watch the little eye squishies.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Because, man, I love that character, though. Because you thought for sure he was going to have some redeeming quality. The whole thing I'm thinking he's going to come save her. Mm-hmm. Opposite. She went back for him, too. Into the house.
No, I know. Yeah. And what's so funny about his character, and this would actually made me laugh out loud, literally 10 minutes before that scene happened, remember he was doing that emotional scene where he's like, I'm changing, I'm trying to become a better man and do better things, and I have made mistakes, but I'm going to be better. And that was a self-reflection on him, like thinking, oh, there's progress here. He's going to try to be better, and then he just throws her off the top.
Exactly. And then he's the one who finds the old man who started it all. Mm-hmm. And he's like, it never shows him, but he watches a video. But it never shows what's on video. But
clearly,
the worst thing ever, probably.
It was implied.
But he's like, you fucking piece of shit. He's like, he hates this guy.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, man, this is totally going to redeem this guy. Mm-hmm. Totally. No, he's just a classic. But you should have known. You should have known by the first bar scene when he's talking to his old friend at high school when he's like, did you really do it? He's like,
Yeah.
dude. She's like, she wanted it, man. He's like, she totally wanted it.
Yep.
She's like, it's so fucking textbook.
Well, and his phone call too.
Predator. Oh, exactly.
Hey, let's talk. You know, I'll apologize.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Which they tell victim never to talk to the fucking
never.
Because that's what they'll try to do is they'll try to manipulate. But the whole time when he's like, she said no at first, but then she was into it, dude. She was totally into it. I should have known this guy ain't coming back.
Yeah,
you can't come back from that piece of shit. But yeah, I love the twist there. Justin Long gets his death as he always does.
Very deserved. I think my biggest issue with this was getting thrown off the water tower. Neither one of them would survive. That fall was very lengthy. And the monster was a little over the top for me.
Oh, well,
it was just,
I mean,
because it was so grounded, like 2/3 through the film where I'm like, wow, this is really, and then it kind of got comical where it was like, she gets smashed by a car and just walks it off.
Oh, she's fucking huge, though. She's big, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
I mean, I don't know what 3 generations of inbreeding does.
That's
no
true.
one does.
I'm not a scientist.
No one does. And who knows what else he was doing to her down there, man. He might have been feeding
pumping her with testosterone.
He might have been feeding just this one to be the one that comes and takes girls down still.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because he still needed that. As long as he, I mean, we don't know when he stopped being able to walk or whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was fucking Mr. Miyagi and her down there, bro. And they were hitting the weights. They're doing everything because he needed one more. Because to me, she was like, I don't know if she was brainwashed, but she was meant to believe that these women are her daughters.
Her babies.
So she would keep her down there and whatnot. Yeah, she had her own cage system as well.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that it did go from something that I thought was going to be real grounded to still grounded with the decisions and everything, but it was like a really grounded monster film, which I fucking love. You know, it's hard to really do a good monster film that's not grounded, but I don't know, man. This just hit all the marks for me. I really liked it.
Well, budget for it was $4.5 million. Turned around at the box office, made $43 million, so 10 times its initial investment.
A little sleeper hit for sure. Was not heavily marketed at all. I mean, 4.5 million budget. You don't have much there for marketing, but yeah, I really like this, man. It's going to be on my top 10 for sure. It's
I don't know what I got right. Wow, 92%.
I loved it.
That's crazy.
I loved it, man.
Audience score 70.
Yeah. Hour 42 had a good length on it too.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
Did not linger too long, but I would definitely recommend it. Spooky season is over by the time you're watching this.
Ow, we're horror year round here.
For sure, absolutely. We are pro horror. But yeah, man, I liked it. It just hit all the marks for me, so I would definitely recommend it. I unfortunately rented it the day before it came on HBO Max, which is what I love to do.
Yes.
But I don't mind supporting films like this. But I'm sure they got a big payoff by HBO Max.
Oh, yeah. Guarantee it.
Yeah, I really liked it, man.
Well, that is our review for the Barbarian, I should say. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.